There's 2 seats in the front if anyone wants them.
Hey, good evening, everybody. And welcome to CSz Portland. We still have music going, Johanna, if you would take the CD down. Thank you very much. I mean, it's great music. But, tonight, Student Stand Up Showcase. So that's cool. My name is Patrick Short. I'm co-owner and general manager here at CSz Portland. We're best known for improv, but over the last couple of years, we brought Wolfson in to teach some stand-up, and the results have been absolutely astounding, and it's super fun, and you're going to have a great time tonight. A couple of things about this. Concessions are available throughout the show. It's generally cooler to go back and get them while the host is up rather than the students, but you know, if you're thirsty, and we're going to help you. The second thing is, by being here, you agree that your image may be broadcast on the worldwide internets because we are going out on Zoom, and this is going to YouTube, and it will be there. And occasionally we do audience shots because we're cool that way. All right, so I hope you all agree with that. The other thing, a couple other things. In student showcases, unless you're having a personal medical emergency, or someone dear to you is having a medical emergency, or you're having another kind of emergency, it's really best to stay for the whole night and support everybody, because it's really daunting when people get up here and they take over and people are trickling out, you know? Right? Yeah? Cool. I mean, we'll be here probably until midnight, but it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be good. I'm not sure about the Type 5 thing, right? So, cool. Another thing is, stand-up has a reputation for a lot of heckling and things like that, but we don't do that in this space. We're supportive of these students. They are students, and we're here to support. Yes? Awesome. You're the best. You are the best. Thanks for being here to support. Carl Wolfson has had a 47-year career.
No!
What? What's the number?
Not that old.
Okay. 42-year career. 45?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed on both sides. So, 42-year career in stand-up. He's been all over the world. He'll probably tell you about that. He's been on the television tubes, on the World Wide Webs, and been on a lot of the famous shows. He's a great guy. He also hosted on KPOJ and KPAM here in Portland, Air America, doing great work on the radio. He's also an amazing teacher. So if you're a student and you're in here, how amazing is Carl?
Yeah!
That was about a 6.8. We'll go for a little more later when they've seen some of the other students. Yeah. Uh-oh. So please give it up for your host and the teacher, Carl Wolfson.
Keep it up for Patrick. Patrick, give a round of applause. Patrick and Ruth, 30 years here at Comedy Sports. 30 years. Give a round of applause. That's unbelievable. I would make up a number like 47, but you know, it's just 30. Thank you, Patrick. And how many are here to see friends or family members tonight? That's what I like to hear. We have a wonderful group tonight. I told them backstage they're the best group I've ever put on a stage, just to screw with their minds. A little. Yeah, it worked. And it's true, I have done comedy, I think it's my 45th year, and I started in 1980 at the Comedy Store when the Koch brothers were Jim and John Belushi. That's how old I am. I found out how old you are in the audience. Thank you. And I am actually very nostalgic about comedy, especially as I teach it now. Thinking back on the past 4 decades, I was on Alan Thicke Show, Thick of the Night, every week, and Alan passed away suddenly. I was on Joan Rivers' show twice a month, and Joan passed away suddenly. I kind of wish I'd been on The Apprentice. Got the barometer of the crowd on that one. I still do have to travel to places where Trump is popular. The Deep South. Anyone from the Deep South? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, where are you from, sir?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. Oh, nice to have you from Nashville. But Nashville's kind of mid-South.
Well, it depends on the perspective. But
Okay. You can laugh or debate the comic. I don't care. Yeah, both. By the way, PortlandComedy.com, get him in the class. This is going to be it. Nashville is a fine city. It's actually a liberal oasis in Tennessee. When I say Deep South, I would go to like I would go Pamplona, Alabama for the running of the rednecks, and I was gored by their sharp intellect. Thank you. Alabama, where frozen embryos are children, but Trump is an adult. You figure that out. There are worse places. Arkansas, anyone from there? That's when you need to be silent. Thank you very much. You will see shit in Arkansas you'll never see anywhere else. I was in Arkansas, I saw a 12-year-old girl smoking right in front of her children. It was pretty unbelievable. What I don't get are gay Republicans. Can you figure that out? How is that possible? They used to call themselves log cabin Republicans. Now it's just LGBTQAnon. You know. You guys ready for a great show tonight? These 7 comics are just knocking it out of the park in class. Some of them have already been up at showcases, and we have another showcase next Sunday, but you're in for a real treat tonight. And I want to start out with a guy that they're all in intermediate classes with me. I think they've taken at least 1 or 2 before. And this guy I just love because he loves.
Ooh, wow. Packed house. Yeah, excellent. So what happens when you work at a high school and marry a Latin lady? Yeah. Like, colleague, in-law, ex-colleague, he was fired. No, you don't get fired for public school. But there's a great lineup of comics tonight, you know? And I've stopped comparing myself to them. Because we all know, comparison is the thief of joy. You know, because compare myself to the best, I make myself feel worse. And when I compare myself to the worst, my wife makes me feel worse. Why would you compare yourself to Steve down the street? I don't know, because I heard he never puts the seat down. Many of you know that I teach high school ESL. Yeah. Thank you. English is a second language. And for those of you looking to get into teaching, oh, no eye contact. ESL, though, is truly the most rewarding, you know? Because it's not because I'm the face that welcomes them to American education, or that I'm humbly their first English-speaking model. It's because I'm never wrong. Yeah. I can't be challenged, okay? It's not like I'm a math teacher, you know, who has to perform a problem on demand, or a history teacher who has to artfully explain two sides of an issue. Nah, it's not like that at all. It's really more like this. Hey, boys and girls, do you know what this is? Nope. That's not a house, that's a carrot. Yeah. What? That over there? Oh, that's the principal. Yeah, she's visiting. I guess I'm kind of showing off. Yeah. What else you guys got? I could do this all day. There are trip-ups though, okay? Because to my Spanish-speaking students, I can never say the word beach. Oh, some of you have figured that out, huh? Every time I say the word beach, they think I'm being misogynistic, all right? Yeah, and I give them example after example, and they still laugh at me. I'll say, hey, I love to admire the Oregon coast. And I think, look at that beach. Or I'll tell them, you know, how much I enjoy touching the sand. And think, love the feel of a fine beach. You know what? They laugh at me just like that. And I even give up political examples. I'll say the Oregon coast should have public access to all. And that's why I can't stand rich beaches. But I get why people don't want to get into education these days, you know, because cell phones and everything. Social media addiction is for real, okay? I'll be honest, while in class, no one is working. I mean, by the end of class, my phone's dead. This non-millennial is addicted to their phone. They really are. I really am, you know? Can't wait to get off stage right now. So you can probably figure out this non-millennial is middle-aged, you know? Which means I likely am raising children becoming adults and parents becoming children. Anybody else out here raising a parent? Mm-hmm, yeah, that's right. My people. That's my tribe right there. I'm thinking about starting a support group on how to take this job to another sibling, all right? How come there's never any sibling rivalry on who gets to take care of mom, right? Take her to all the appointments, run all the errands, listen to her stories, right? It's never like this, is it? Never. This year, guess what? I'm taking mom to all the appointments. Okay? Oh yeah, and you know what? Every Saturday, she and I, we're going to Costco. All right? Oh, and that story about the neighbor's dog, Foo-Foo, shitting her lawn, I'm listening to that all the time. Let's see what else is perfect about life. You probably figured out I'm going to be doing some mom humor tonight. okay? And I don't mean those classic your mama jokes. Instead tonight, I have my mama jokes. But my mama isn't fat, stupid, or ugly. The juvenile triple threat to our beloved mamas, right? But she is 90, Japanese, and driving. Oh, she's on the roads, okay? But don't worry, I'm not gonna be punching down on 4'6" elderly Japanese women. It's kind of more like punching sideways. Don't get me wrong, I love elderly Japanese women. Very spiritual, you know. She said to me not too long ago, Jeppy. That's actually Jeffrey, by the way, it's not a nickname. Jeppy, I still drive because I have heart of samurai. True story. Small problem though. I called Geico. No samurai discounts. So it hasn't deterred her. So if you see what appears to be a driverless Prius with a bunch of dents under that dashboard is my mama. I suggest you just treat it like an ambulance upon sight and just pull over. Oh yeah, I gotta pick up dog food. I see Carol this weekend. Wait a minute, what? Is that a gray wig driving that car? What? Oh, Jeff warned me about this. Your son's hilarious. But not too long ago, there was an accident, okay? My mama got run over. Yeah. And when I got to the hospital, the person at fault was already there. I was so angry. I wanted to punch him in the face. I just couldn't believe my mama was run over by herself. She pushed her own car and couldn't stop it, and it rolled over her foot. She was the cause and the effect. It was a hit, and she couldn't run. She kamikazed her own foot. And when the policeman called me, right, he told me the damage was bad. There were dents everywhere, and it looked totaled. The Prius was fine, though. And because my mama doesn't speak much English, I know how the police report went. It went like this. Ma'am, what color was the car that hit you? This color. Ma'am, what did the person look like that ran you over? Like this. Ma'am. Did you get a license plate? From DMV. The good news is my mama healed up, you know, and she continues to drive. Me crazy. Do you guys know that adults still have dreams about their school experience? Yeah, it's how powerful it is, right? We never stop. I had a dream last night. It was a nightmare. And it was a nightmare with bullies. Because I hate bullies. I'm in high school. It's Monday morning in the cafeteria. And my bully comes up to me and he wants to take my lunch money. However, it's no ordinary bully. This was our 42nd president of the United States, Barack Obama. And it went like this. Well, Jeff, as a biracial person of color, I consider you an Asian American brother. But it's time to pay the piper. This is coming from me, going to me, and not to the Republicans. I'm going to demand your lunch money. Okay, I voted for you. This bully nightmare is getting worse. It's Tuesday. I have a Tuesday bully now. It's very embarrassing. It is the mother of the longest standing television animation in history. Marge Simpson. I know this isn't easy. Because my special little guy bar has a bully. Nelson, why can't we just make lemonade and give me your lunch money? So optimistic, even as a bully. Now it's Wednesday, and now my Wednesday bully's here, and the stakes have been raised. Because he was making demands. It's none other than our 42nd president, Bill Clinton. Jeff. Sorry to have to do this to you. But why does anyone do what they do? Because they can. So I'm going to have to demand your lunch money. But in lieu of that, I will accept you introducing me to your sister. Why does he want to meet her? Now it's Thursday, and this nightmare bully dream is getting worse and worse. They're like boss battles in a video game. My Thursday bully was none other than the youngest heavyweight champ of all time, Iron Mike Tyson. I'm the former, undisputed heavyweight champ of all time. We could do this the easy way or the hard way. You can either give me your lunch money or take one of these haymakers, huh? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be, huh? Now it's Friday. My Friday nightmare bully is here. And he's the biggest bully of all. Needs no introduction. I'm looking for a little guy, a little Asian guy. When I saw him, I said, wow, he's little. I'm gonna take his money. I'm gonna take his lunch money. It's gonna be a good deal for me. It's gonna be a good deal. Very good deal. He looks kind of like the mayor of Wuhan. He might give me the virus. He wants to give me the virus. But I already beat the virus. Shut up! I'm not giving you my lunch money. Not all Asians are the same. And why do you talk like that? I'm Jeff O'Malley, everybody. Thank you.
Jeff O'Malley, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff.
We've got a couple people who arrived. If people could ID seats that are open next to them, we
Oh,
could seat these
okay.
people.
If you got seats next to you, raise your hand. And yeah, well, couple right here. Yeah, thank you. Okay. And oh, it's just a packed house tonight. One more time for, as we're raising our hands, one more time for Jeff O'Malley. Jeff's wife Connie is here. Where's Connie? Yeah, there she is. Yeah. I know. You put up with a comedian now. I say this because my husband is in the crowd. We are going to celebrate Gary, we're celebrating our 27th anniversary later this year. Gary is more athletic than me. He climbed Mount St. Helens, and yeah, it's exciting. So the next day I was so inspired I made it halfway up Mount Tabor, and my Sherpa quit. You can't get a good Sherpa in Portland anymore, you know that? I have to say, after 26 and a half years, dinner conversations aren't as scintillating as they once were, I admit it. A couple months ago we're eating and Gary says, "Is there anything worse than hard butter?" Genocide? I don't know. I think the hardest thing was getting Gary past my Republican Fox-watching mother in 1998. After we've been together a year, we flew to Florida, and we're eating dinner, and my mother looks over and she goes, "Now, which one of you is gay?" And I'm like, "Oh, God." It's going to be a lot harder than I thought. Which she followed up with, "Well, we didn't have homosexuals in the 1950s. I said, "Well, somebody put the fins on those Cadillacs. Somebody did those beehive hairdos. We have a very good friend, Jenny, who is a lesbian, and she also has a right-wing mother in Florida. She said, I came out to my mother as a lesbian, and she said her mother went, "What's next, Jenny? Heroin?" Lesbianism, the gateway drug. Yeah. I love my mom, but it's like, this is the best thing she ever said to me. She goes, "Don't go to therapy, they just blame the mother." I went, All right, you ready for our next comic? Thank you, Jeff, for getting us started. We have had so much fun in class because we workshop all this material. It's all affirming. We all love each other. This guy is tremendously funny. I've really gotten to know him well in the last 8 weeks. Please welcome Zach Victor, ladies and gentlemen. Zach!
So when I turned 30 last year, I picked up 3 new hobbies: comedy, tornado chasing, and volunteering at the suicide hotline. That wasn't a joke, but I'll take it again. This is a comedy show, so I'm not going to bum y'all out by talking about the depressing stuff, like how the comedy's been going. But tornado chasing is really cool. I've never done anything like that before, and seeing a tornado drop from a cloud the size of Mount Everest, or seeing like 1,000 bolts of lightning in an hour, it's a crazy experience. But funnily enough, the scariest part about tornado chasing, it's not the malevolent weather, actually. It's spending time in the middle of the country. Real America, as Sarah Palin called it back in the day. Real America is a scary place. In Real America, the highest rated restaurant in town might be a TGI Fridays, because Chili's is just a little too spicy for Main Street. In Real America, the closest coffee shop with Wi-Fi in like a 50-mile radius might be attached to a Mennonite church. I feel real uncomfortable about cussing in there. It's like ordering coffee from a judgmental pilgrim, and I'm not even the right kind of Indian. in real America, I can't tell if people dislike me more for like subconsciously reminding them of 9/11, the stupid hair, or being from Portland. I have more storm chasing specific jokes, but I worry that it's not particularly relatable. So now I'm going to talk about depression. Volunteering at the suicide hotline is a little depressing at times because of the people that you talk to, but not the suicidal people. They're actually, for the most part, pretty normal, chill people going through a hard time. The people who suck to talk to are the people who call 988 to talk to someone while they masturbate. Yeah, that's pretty messed up, right? Pretty gross. That's a real thing, by the way. Disgusting, no qualifiers needed. But, you know what's even more like offensive on a personal level? When that sexual deviant on the other end of the line asks to be transferred to someone else. Like, what, were my open-ended questions and empathetic observations not doing it for you? Really? I wasn't there at the start of the call, but now I do want you to go fuck yourself. I am a professional. I can't sit here and say that I would prefer these, disgusting people to actually be as suicidal. That would be bad too. I'm just saying, if you're calling 988 to get off sexually, at the very least you could be exploring autoerotic asphyxiation. Speaking of which, I was in a 5-year relationship. That ended about a year ago. And it was an amicable breakup, but it was still painful. It's a long time. My ex got custody of Rodney, our Roomba. And it was hard. We split custody at first, but then she moved back to Seattle, and so now I only get him for summers. My house is emotionally cold and physically dusty. There's other mild indignities I've noticed about being single again. Did you know that Bumble sells a lifetime membership now? That's real. That's messed up. They were like, hey, the guys in the analytics department, they ran the numbers, and it seems like you're not going to figure this out in 1, 3, or 12 months. So how about you throw the towel in now? And we'll save you some money on the back end, which is kind of a burn on me, but also very charitable of the Bumble Corporation. There is a catch though. If you do spring for the lifetime membership, they will put a badge on your profile that says "Frugal Pessimist" right on it. I've been having a bad week, but it's for unrelated reasons, actually. I've been thinking a lot about the Kool-Aid Man lately. By the lack of applause, I can tell I'm going to need to educate you about the Kool-Aid Man. Okay, so anatomically, the Kool-Aid Man consists of 2 parts, right? He is the jug, and he has the juice, the aid, right? So this... There's on the diagram. This begs the question, where does the Kool-Aid Man's consciousness reside? For humans, it's really straightforward. Like my thoughts, my feelings, they're in like the lukewarm, low voltage gray oatmeal. That's my brain. What about Mr. K? As I thought about it, I realized that there is no good answer to that question because, option A, it's in the jug itself, right? That means that the Kool-Aid Man continues to exist even when he is no longer full of drink. So, consider the ghastly implications, right? Okay, so the Kool-Aid Man was just a glass man, right? Happily living his life until the Kool-Aid Corporation came along and turned him into the world's most famous indentured servant. some exec was like, hey, fill his brain with the world's shittiest juice. Parade him around. Give him a stupid slogan. Legally change his name for branding purposes. We'll make $1 billion, he'll never retire. And also, you know what? Just throw him through walls regularly too. This level of televised exploitation hasn't been seen since the last Dr. Phil Trouble Teen episode. Somehow option B is even worse. The alternative is, okay, the Kool-Aid Man's consciousness is in the drink. What are the implications of drinking him, then? Like, is he just awake inside my body, like navigating my digestive system, like awake in my urinary tract? That is disgusting. And, you know, we were cool with the whole transubstantiation thing for Jesus, right? Like, where his body and blood turned into crackers and wine. That's a religious thing, right? Like, he has a constitutionally protected right to be digested on Sundays. This is America. That does not extend to the Kool-Aid Man. He's just a guy who, by the way, shows up to children's parties unannounced all the time. I mean, like, did he even pass a background check? Like, I don't know. And none of this is to mention the fact that this man is not leading a food-grade lifestyle. You know, the amount of unpermitted demo work that he's done, he is at least 20% asbestos and lead-based paint at this point. Anyway, thank you so much. That's my time.
Good job. Keep going for Zach. You work for Kool-Aid, or are you upset? Oh, is he a dentist? You mentioned dental work?
I'm a dentist.
Oh, you're the dentist. Oh, so, yeah, Kool-Aid. Good. Okay. What's your name?
Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
How are you? You've been to my class before, haven't you?
Okay, I've been to this show before.
Oh, you've been to the show?
Yeah.
That's how well I know my
Big fan of
students.
Stacia.
You've been to the show
A fan
before?
of Stacia and Dylan, yeah.
Oh, you're a fan of Stacia and Dylan? Oh, wow. We got a lot of Stachettes in the audience, don't we? and Dylanettes. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's going to be good. It's good. Comedy is wonderful, by the way. PortlandComedy.com is a place you sign up for classes. Traveling is not. And after 44 years of traveling, I can tell you, I went to a comedy festival in Chicago not long ago. I had to fly Spirit Airlines. Don't do it. Anyone flown Spirit already? Have you?
No,
Don't do it. It's literally like this. You know, halfway through the flight, the overhead bin popped open, 3 passengers fell out. It was amazing. And then I had my worst flight number ever on Spirit. What was my flight number? What was it? 666. I love Portland. All right, no. 9/11, no. It's our student from Lebanon. No, my flight number was 5050. Welcome aboard Flight 5050. We've got an even shot of getting off the runway today. Well, you Dylanettes, you're going to see your guy now. Dylan's been a friend of mine for many years, and we share a love of politics. And actually, I had a radio show for 10 years, and when I would leave town, they'd run the Best of Carl in the morning. Dylan was the only person I trusted to guest host my radio show.
Nice.
Turns out he's funny, too. Please welcome Dylan Hines.
Hey, well, thanks. I've had kind of a rough weekend. In addition to drinking way too much Kool-Aid, it was time to talk to my 10-year-old son about the birds and the bees. And, you know, it's got to be done. And it had been a while since we had to talk. I think last time it came up was in first grade when he asked me what cooties were. And I said, oh, cooties, those are training wheels for STDs. You know, that got him through a few years, but it was time for an update. And so I started to prepare for the talk, and I realized the amount of information we have to share as parents today is overwhelming, right? I got to cover abstinence, body autonomy, body positivity, consent, condoms and other contraceptives, gender identity. I'm sure gender is going to come up too. Menstruation, masturbation, puberty, pornography, revenge porn, sexual intercourse and fertilization, sexual orientation, STDs, STIs, unwanted pregnancies, sexting, and of course, wet dreams. That's a lot, right? I am sure all you parents out there covered this in comprehensive, meaningful ways. Congratulations, good job. Me, I don't want to do it. I want a team of experts to come to my home and teach my children all these things so that I don't have to. I mean, just for a minute, can you imagine that job interview? So you're applying for the position of child sex educator, is that right? Why don't you tell us when you first learned of your passion for speaking to children about sex? I mean, if you are applying to be a child sex educator, just go ahead and sign up for a sex offender registry because you're probably already on it. So I realized that help was not coming. I had to do this by myself. So I'm a very intentional person. I take a lot of care in how I do things. So of course I go to the internet for the do's and don'ts for how to talk to your kids about sex. And I found a lot of sometimes questionable tips on what to do. One website told me, when you talk to your kids about the birds and the bees, don't include the whole family. I mean, is that a problem? Are families sitting down for Thanksgiving dinner and grandma saying, "Hey Noah, have I ever talked to you about the importance of milking your prostate?" Thank God it's not my family, maybe yours. And then here's this tip. When you're talking to your kids about this stuff, don't start talking about personal experiences. I mean, I'm glad there's some moms and dads out there that are proud of those old notches on their bedposts, but come on, time and place, people. And then the third one was, when you're talking about the birds and bees, do not use puppets. Now, I'm going to push back on that one a little bit. I think that reasonable minds can disagree about puppetry in this time. The one tip that I thought was actually really useful was, especially if you're talking to a young boy, find a distraction, right? You don't want to sit at a dining room table with eyes locked talking about the intricacies of sexual intercourse. So I chose as our distraction Bullwinkles, right? Miniature golf, great way to distract him so that, whatever. We load up in the car, Saturday afternoon, it's beautiful weather, we get to Bullwinkles, and I realize on the first hole I'm going to need some time to kind of build up the courage to start the talk. And I see my 10-year-old son bounding and frolicking across Bullwinkles, having a great time. I just know, I feel so guilty that he has no idea that in a few minutes I'm going to be murdering his childhood. And I'm probably ruining Bullwinkles forever. And so, as I said, I'm very intentional. And so I want to talk to him. He's Gen Z. I want to talk to him in his language. So I say, "Hey, buddy, I want to talk to you about when a man and a woman are in Riz." Let's say we got a guy with cool drip, fire looks, and his game is bussy. He is him, no cap. And then we got this girl. She just had a glow up. Alright? She's extra and hits different. And when guys see her, they say, "Yeah." Anyway, these two meet up one night, and it slaps. She can tell right away that he's neither simp nor sus, and he can tell that she's neither mid nor bougie. These two understood the assignment, and it's about to get out of pocket. I said, "Buddy, is this tea a little too cringe?" And I check his face, and it's just covered in betrayal. As he realizes this magical trip to Bullwinkles has been nothing but a ruse to have this horrible conversation. So we get through hole 6 and hole 7 and hole 8, and you get to that part of the talk, the crescendo, where there's no euphemisms, there's no flowery language, you just gotta come out and you gotta say it. I say. And that's when the man takes his penis and he puts it inside the woman's vagina. And my son's face. Not his reaction. His face turns white, his jaw drops, and he says, "Do you get it back?" I said, "Yeah, you get it back over and over and over." And that's when I realized that maybe 10 was too young for this. Maybe I should have waited till he was 23. Or maybe by then his wife could explain this stuff to him. And then I realized that my generation, we've become too successful at shielding our children from adult content. I mean, every screen in my home, password protected, two-step verification, parental control apps. My kids can't watch anything except Bambi. Well, not that Bambi, but the other Bambi. And so the result is I have become their primary source of information about learning about sex, and I don't want that responsibility. I mean, I'm Gen X. I never asked my parents to explain shit. We learned about this stuff from our fathers and our friends' father, who generously left out adult materials for us to access. And by left out, sure, sometimes we needed a ladder or a flashlight and a paper clip. But God damn it, we accessed it and we learned. Yeah. So yeah, my kids, they're just not learning about sex. And so it all falls on me. And again, it's not fair. Sorry, I lost my I mean, my 14-year-old asked me the other day what masturbation was. Are you fucking kidding me? He's 14 years old and he doesn't know what masturbation is. When I was 14, that's all I knew about. So, don't worry, I'm not going to talk about sex all night and children. This morning, actually, I'm still recovering from a pretty bad crop dusting I experienced. I've recently learned that half of people don't know what crop dusting is, which blows me away. Crop dusting is, for those who don't know, it's when somebody passes gas in a crowd of people and then walks away. So basically, you're gone, but the remnants of your anus have been left behind. So, and while I'm up here, I just want to make clear, I'm not shaming crop dusters, right? I'm not going to shame you people. I don't do that. I'm shaming you people. I understand that sometimes the needs of the human body do not always comport with the environment in which we find ourselves. I get it. But I think for this human decency, we got to put some parameters on places where you should and should not be crop dusting. Number one, ICUs and hospice wards. Please, nobody's last breath should be the broccoli souffle you reheated for lunch. All right. Also, if you're over the age of 12, elementary schools, off limits, right? These poor kids are at the absolute worst height to avoid your crop dust. And oftentimes they lack the freedom to escape to safer ground. I don't want to let you leave here today without some ideas of where you can safely crop dust. So one tip I will give you is funerals, right? These are great places, they're usually very crowded, oftentimes outside, people are milling about. And if any heat starts coming your way, you got your ace in the hole, you blame the corpse. Right? These things are naturally putting out bad smells and they can't even defend themselves. Anyways, I do want to come back to this morning's particularly bad crop dusting experience. This was at Home Depot with my children. And we're in the corner of the store where the decorations are for the holidays and stuff. It's a kind of festive place. And we stepped into this thing. I mean, just the density of it. I think the temperature may have gone up a couple degrees when we got there. And it's that horrifying moment when you step into somebody else's crop dust when you've just exhaled and you're not sure which way leads to the promise of safer air and which way is going to make it worse. I mean, if you're not careful, panic can really set in. And so, as I'm sitting there in this crop dust, with my children huddled around me looking for answers, it occurred to me that I may not be dealing with a single shooter. I suspected a family of crop dusters. One family with a particularly poor diet. And when it comes to crop dusting, some people are really dumb about crop dusting. Have you noticed this? I was on a date recently, it was a quiet Sunday morning. We were in a gift shop. And suddenly, once again, I find myself in one of those throat-scratching clouds of crop dust. And I look at my girlfriend, and she's seemingly unaffected by this. And then I look around the gift shop. We're the only fucking people in the gift shop. Come on! Every crop dust, there are two critical elements, right? One, other people to blame it on, and two, an escape plan. My girlfriend had neither of these things. So, I mean, I'm looking for a woman with, a higher level of sophistication with her crop dusting game, so things didn't work out between us at all. I mean, the only good thing I can say about that relationship is that after I got out, I got it back. All right.
Dylan Hyde, ladies and gentlemen. Good! Keep it going for Dylan Hyde. Oh my God. You know, one of the elements of, that I tell my students is take the comedy gifts when they're given. And when you're in a class or you're comedically aligned, your antenna are up for everything. And Dylan's son did say, do I get it back? So, look for those gifts. We have a great dry cleaner, Mrs. Lee. She's from South Korea. Doesn't speak English, but she's very funny. She speaks a little English. So a couple of years ago, I took in a pair of jeans. You're supposed to point out the stains. There was a red stain right here. And she goes, is it the lipstick? In the act. Saw something today I had never seen in Portland before. I saw a car with Washington plates going the correct way down a one-way street. How did that happen? Anyone from Washington here? Oh, well, I don't want... You!
Also a sex educator.
Yeah. You're an adult sex educator?
High school teacher.
High school teacher. Okay, good. We had, when I was growing up, we did have sex education. This is in 60s, in high school, in New Jersey. Because fuck New Jersey, It was called Attitudes, Growth, and Development. That was the name of it. The only thing I remember from that class was the instructor said, women are like irons. You plug them in, it takes them a while to warm up. You unplug, it takes them a while to warm down. And guys are like light switches, on and off. It's the only thing I remember. I went home and I kept doing this to the light switch. My mother, what are you doing up there? It's electric. How are we doing so far? Good? I do want to say, before I bring up the next act, I do want to praise the state of Washington and your voters. They did something in 2012 that no other state has done and may never do. The same day, Washingtonians legalized gay marriage and pot. Same day. Which just went to prove to the rest of us we weren't reading the Bible correctly. Leviticus says if a man lies with a man, he should be stoned. So, one more time for Dylan Hyde's very funny stuff. Our next comic just told me he's not going to do the set that he practiced for the last 7 weeks. So I will be just as interested as you to see what he does. He's taken 4 classes with me. I just think he's brilliant. I love him. Please welcome Idris Wahed, ladies and gentlemen. Idris!
Sure are learning a lot tonight. We're gonna learn a little bit more. I have something I have to get off of my chest. And it's about the Pina Colada song. Now, if you are like most people, what you know of the Pina Colada song is that part where it goes, if you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, as it fades off into the background of whatever tropical bar you're sitting at the airport on your way to vacation in Mexico. And I have asked a perfectly normal number of people how much of the song they remember, and it's always just that. That song has an entire plot, and it is wild. This guy knows. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. Okay. For those of you unaware of the plot of the Pina Colada song, we open on a husband and a wife in what seems to be a dead marriage. It's narrated from the perspective of the husband as he's laying in bed reading the newspaper next to his wife, and he comes across an ad in the personals. And it says something to the effect of looking for a partner to share in a particular kind of carefree lifestyle marked by pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, and having sex at midnight on the dunes by the Cape. And the husband is intrigued by this. He takes out a personal ad. This is an old song, it's 1979. He takes out a personal ad that says, I am into all of that, also champagne and a couple of other things. And you know what we should do? We should meet tomorrow at a bar called O'Malley's and plan our escape. Like, this guy just had this idea and he's already ready to quit his wife. And so we go to the bar the next day to meet the stranger. And there she is. And it's none other than his wife. Yeah. And that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is their reactions throughout all of this. When the husband is going about like what he's doing to his wife here, he sums it up as like, that sounds kind of mean. Yeah, kind of. When she sees him at the bar, her reaction is, oh, it's you. Like she just caught him moonlighting as an Uber driver in 1979. And the craziest part is their collective reaction is to laugh this off. Like they weren't about to just like completely abandon each other. Like if that, a lack of mutual understanding of each other's appreciation of pina coladas was like the only problem in this relationship. They should have figured that out a lot sooner. Like there are questions in a relationship you have to be careful about asking. If you're gonna ask your partner if they've ever thought about being in an open relationship, you gotta be ready to kick over some dominoes that you can't unkick. On the other hand, there are questions you can ask at any time during a relationship without any consequences. And they include, do you like pina coladas? Do you like getting caught in the rain? Do you like the taste of champagne? And though you might not like the answer, do you like having sex at midnight on the dunes by the Cape? And the only reason you might not like that answer is because a lot like having sex in a hot tub. That is a very fun idea on paper, but there are practical realities that are not pleasant. The song ends implying that they have reconciled, which just... what do I know? Maybe the point of the song is that sometimes love is rational. I mean, I think we can all remember a time when we just felt really smitten with a person. Punch drunk in love, head over heels. Smitten as a kid. Yeah. The irrational way that's made us feel. And I think some of us are not built as well to be smitten as others. I, for example, am not built for being smitten. And I don't mean that in like some macho, tough guy way. I mean the opposite. Because deep down inside of me, shackled in a dungeon, across a lake of lava, an impenetrable fortress, is a hopeless romantic. And don't feel bad for him. I didn't lock him up there. He put himself there. He is so dramatic. And he's that part of me that loves the movie Pride and Prejudice. The Keira Knightley version. Even though The main female's main problem in that movie is that her family and her sisters are about to lose everything because of archaic inheritance laws when their father dies. And the male lead protagonist's primary redeeming quality is that he has a lot of money that would solve all of that problem. Like, the big romantic gesture in the movie is him essentially paying a dude off. And yet that part of me does not care. He loves that movie. He's the part of me that, when I'm sad, listens to all of the Coldplay. And God, when he gets smitten, it's like giving crack cocaine to a hummingbird. About a month ago, I met someone. We've been on 2 dates. 2. A couple of weeks back, I woke up in the middle of the night feeling inspired to write poetry. I have never written poetry. What came out was objectively not good. But it gets worse. About a week ago, I woke up at 2 in the morning inspired to write an Irish ditty. My mother is German. My father is from Afghanistan. I am wholly unqualified to write an Irish ditty. But it gets worse. That constant feeling of betrayal. Knowing that my brain is capable of making me feel so light and energetic that I might actually believe I could fly. And it withholds this from me for the exclusive purpose of making me feel slavishly devoted to a person I've just met. I'm not this nice to my mom. I think one of the things that I'm still figuring out about comedy is you never know what part of the audience is going to get attached to, and I feel like I blew past the Irish ditty thing pretty quick. I feel like half you guys are wondering, did he write an Irish ditty? No. Unfortunately, I think we can all agree that that would be certifiably insane. So, I'm sorry to disappoint you. But I wrote an Irish ditty. This is insane, you can't laugh. I wrote an Irish ditty to get this feeling off my chest. Cause I'm possessed by a madman that won't let me get no rest. I've never written a song before, not a single goddamn word. For to be an Irish ditty couldn't be more absurd. Now don't you worry, the better part of me still knows that writing an Irish ditty is a red flag, so red it glows. In the Dayton world, that kind of thing just ain't allowed. So instead of torturing that poor woman, I'm gonna do it to this crowd. The alternative would have been a German yodel, so you're welcome. So I wrote an Irish ditty as I met this lovely lass. Oh, my, is she gifted, she's got such a perfect sass. And though I am not rich, about that I cannot lie. Can't just bail out her entire family and pay off some random guy. No, I'm gonna have to win her some over some other way. You know, maybe like, writing an Irish ditty. God, I want to see her tattoos. Now, before you accuse me of something that I didn't do, if you were expecting another word there, that's entirely on you. I wrote an Irish ditty, or at least gave it a try. I'm sure there's rules about writing ditties, to which I did not comply. Oh. I don't know how this is going to end. sure feels nice. Now before I go and get out of here, here's some free advice. For me right now, I get it, it's a lot. If you like pina coladas, you should tell your partner before shit gets out of hand. And bring a goddamn blanket if you're gonna do it in the sand.
A great pride, ladies and gentlemen. Give a little round of applause. He worked on a set for 7 weeks that was brilliant, and that wasn't it. That was completely new. By the way, happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. Okay. Any Irish here? Yeah. Was that an official ditty? Was that, how would you rate that as far as ditty concerned?
98%.
Oh! Really? Wow! Wow, what a fucked up country that is. By the way, my favorite joke, maybe my favorite political joke of all time, remember Jimmy Walker? Fuck you people. I used to do a bit about my grandmother not carrying a Roosevelt dime till the day she died, and young people have no clue who Roosevelt is. Don't even know what a dime is. So Jimmy Walker was on Good Times, remember? Fuck, why do I keep asking you that? What do you? Okay, yes, get on with the show. He had this line in 1980, which I thought was brilliant. He said, more violence in Northern Ireland, Protestants versus Catholics, Catholics versus Protestants. Just goes to show you, in a country with no blacks, Jews, or Mexicans, people can improvise. Brilliant. All right, coming to the stage now, really gotten to know her very well over this last 7 or 8 weeks. You want to do Adrisa's set that he was going to do?
Oh, I was going to write an Irish ditty on stage.
Yeah. See if we can get up to 99%. She's really terrific, and you're going to love her. Please welcome Sarah Spoon.
Showing up for something before the month of May. I love it. My name's Sarah. I use she, her pronouns. Hi, Sarah. We're like Barbie now. Hi, Sarah. I'm a rapper. I know I don't look like a rapper, so it's okay, but don't worry, because when I perform, I also don't sound like a rapper. I am also a former city councilor, so a former elected official, and I first ran for office in 2016. I was very naive. I think, like a lot of people, I thought we would end that night with our first woman president, right? The Nazis would go running back to their caves. It would be like that year everyone said, "What's up?" We all know it happened, but no one will admit to being a part of it. So I was elected to Canby City Council the same night Donald Trump was elected president, a very confusing evening for me. Do you guys all know where Canby is? Yes. It's like just outside of town, the rural-urban divide, the like trenches of the culture war that we hear about on the news. I was Canby's first openly queer city councilor. And I was a bit of a liberal lightning rod for being who I am, believing what I believe, and for having the audacity to advocate for a dog park. Much to everyone's surprise, I was re-elected in the year 2020, and 10 months after I was re-elected, a woman filed a recall petition against me. She had found one of my rap music videos online. She was not a fan. This is, it was a song with a lot of salacious sexual innuendos deeply rooted in weather terminology. And there's a line, for example, that goes, "Close all the bridges, 'cause tonight you're gonna get 10 inches. This is public record, you can find this. The actual words on the recall petition say, "The citizens of Canby seek to remove Councilmember Spoon for her repeated displays of vulgarity via social media." These are the same people that voted for a man that said he grabs women by the pussy, but okay. My first thought was, you're welcome, Canby. Someone has to make this town interesting. My second thought was just the pure irony of the situation, because the woman that filed the recall petition owns the vitamin store in town, but she clearly does not get enough vitamin D. The recall failed. The recall failed, but but in 2023, last year, we ended up leaving Canby anyway. And just 3 days after we moved into our new house, I found a lump right here in my breast. Even after leaving public office, the right was determined to ruin my life. I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. It had spread to my lymph nodes, so I had to do the whole thing. I did double mastectomy, radiation, chemotherapy. This is not a choice I made, this is happening to me. I'm really happy to say I'm in remission. From Canby. And from cancer, I'm in remission from both. Most people don't know this, but health insurance actually the government actually requires health insurance companies to cover breast reconstruction for breast cancer patients. And there's this incredible group of women in the breast cancer community, they call themselves flatties, and they elect to not reconstruct. I find that incredibly courageous. They are just out loud rejecting the societal expectation that women adhere to the male standard of beauty and femininity. Right, good for them. Yeah, can we applaud for that's not for me. I'm gonna fight the man in a different way. I just keep hitting my out-of-pocket maximum, so I'm gonna continue to get every medical procedure available. Just shove that camera right up my ass. In fact, let's put a camera in every hole and just inspect this entire suspect situation. Look, I was a flatty against my will for 44 years. I want Anthem Blue Cross to pay for the tits of my dreams. Near as I can tell, that's the only way to win at American health insurance. I say I'm in remission, but that's not actually the phrase we use. We use the phrase assumed no evidence of disease. Assumed because they don't do any tests or scans to make sure it hasn't spread. They just assume once the tumor is removed that you're free of disease. That's banana pants, right? Like, imagine if this is how we treated everything in the world. Like, what if I want to get a couple of prime ribs, but there's no Best Buy date, so I walk up to the meat counter, and the woman's like, well, there's no evidence of disease, okay? Or I get bit by a woodland creature, and animal control picks the raccoon up by the tail, and is like, oh, no evidence of disease? Or you bring someone home from a bar and suggest you use protection, and they're like, no evidence of disease. Sarah knows what I'm talking about. So Canby's actually my hometown. It's where I grew up. I went to a small rural elementary school named Paris, and in the 6th grade, we had an art unit on pottery. And my parents recently found a piece that I had made when I was 11 years old, and it was breathtaking. So it was a face in an oval, like a cameo, right? And the hair was the color and texture of straw. There was a tiny fedora. Eyes look at you from different hemispheres. Everything was lumpy. And there was on either side of the face a black and white music note that vaguely looked X-rated. There was evidence of disease. And when my parents gave it to me as an adult, even I had no idea who it was, and I made it. So I posted a picture to Facebook to see if anyone else could identify the person in my sculpture. I got a lot of guesses. I got some Sebastian Bach, I got some Boy George, I got 89 guesses. And the likeness is so accurate that not a single one of them were correct. But lucky for me, I had written the name of my muse on the back. It was my very first concert, 80s pop icon Debbie Gibson. I am still a huge fan. So last year when she came on tour, she played at Elon just north of here, and my husband wanted to take me. I was still very sick from chemotherapy. I was bald, no eyelashes, no eyebrows. I was kind of ashen looking, and I was using a wheelchair because of how weak I was. But everyone wanted me to have a good time. So my brother, a 47-year-old man, tweeted, "Hey, at Debbie Gibson. My sister is a huge fan, and she is going to your show tonight. She is currently in breast cancer treatment, and I know it would blow her mind if you gave her a shout out from on stage. If you up for it, hit me up in DM. No worries though, heart emoji." And I know this is a shock, but Debbie Gibson did not slide into my brother's DMs. We did get to meet her after the concert though, and I thought it would be really fun to show her a picture of the pottery I made as a child. So my husband rolled me up to her, and I used every bit of strength I had to push myself up out of the wheelchair. And I take my phone, and I say, "Look, Debbie, I made this, it's you." And the look on her face went from concern for my health to concern for her safety. And that's when my husband yelled out, "When she was 11, she made it when she was 11, because without that critical piece of information, it looks like I crafted her a piece of pottery with 2 dildos and a clown hat just last week." Speaking of dildos and clown hats, I went to New Orleans. And I'm a person that strongly believes that when I visit other parts of the world or other parts of the country, as a white person, I have a moral responsibility to be witness to the atrocities that white people have committed in that space. Right? So when we were in New Orleans, I thought we should go to a plantation where they would clearly explain the tragedies associated with slavery. And our tour guide was a white man in a Confederate soldier's uniform, which I found to be a very bold fashion choice, given the location. And he started the tour, "Well, hello there, my name is Thibodeau. We're going to do a tour of plantation. We're going to talk about the Roman family that live here. Then we're going to talk about emancipation, proclamation. Any question?" And I was like, "No, I believe I bought a ticket for a tour. This sounds great. So far, I guess, kind of." And so we enter the house, and there's this grand stairway in the entryway. And he explains, "Roman family that live here in this house, they're a real wealthy family. They got a lot of money. They got a couple of daughters. One girl named Louise. She very pretty. A lot of suitors come around looking for Louise. Well, one day, Louise walking down the stairs, she have a stumble, hoop skirt break, stab her in the leg, she get gangrene, they have to amputate, no one want to marry her anymore, she joined the convent and become a nun. Any question?" know. It feels like a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end. I know how it ended. No questions. So the tour rounds up on the back balcony, and Thibodeau closes with explaining about the end of slavery. He says, well, and now this here sugar plantation, real hot summers, real hard work for the slaves. Then in 1863, Abraham Lincoln do Emancipation Proclamation. Well, you know, day before, slave owners real wealthy. They own a lot of people worth a lot of money, got a lot of assets. Then Emancipation Proclamation happened. Slave owners don't have no money anymore. Emancipation Proclamation real hard for the slave owners. Any questions? And this time I did have questions. I was like, Thibodeau? Are we supposed to feel bad for the slave owners? I like to laugh about the South. A lot of it's justified, but much of Oregon is not that different. So I like to go on road trips, and I don't know if you've ever been to a bar past the suburbs, Eastern Oregon, Central Oregon, but a lot of them are very similar. Usually the flooring is remnants of a bowling alley that was closed in the 90s. There's national flags on the wall in case you forget where you are. Did I say national? I meant nationalist. There are nationalist flags on the wall, in case you forgot where you are. Everyone in the bar is probably 35, but they look like they're 90. Just a flock of Emperor Palpatines weathered by hate. The whole place just smells like urine and white grievance. There's evidence of disease. And recently I happened to one on a road trip, and I sat down at the bar, and a white man in a Confederate soldier's uniform walked up and said, well, hello, my name's Thibodeau. Today's special chicken gizzards and moonshine. Any questions? My name is CSz Stand. Thank you.
Oh, God. I don't know how many times in the last 7 weeks I've looked at our puppy and gone, my name's Thibodeau. One more time for Sarah. I especially appreciate when LGBTQ people are out and proud. I think we're learning a lot of famous gay people were in history. John Maynard Keynes, who invented modern macroeconomics. Alan Turing, who invented the modern computer. George Santos, who invented everything, actually. Thank you for getting that. And then there are some people in history who might have been gay, but we will never know. One of my top candidates is Marco Polo. I mean, follow me. I mean, it's the late 13th century. Vandals have sacked Europe. Crusaders have sacked the Middle East. He's off looking for silks and spices. And obviously this audience doesn't know who Marco Polo is. Or Franklin Roosevelt, or fuck. Calvin. I gotta redo my whole act. I mean, if you're a gay man in the year 1271, you just want a comfy caftan and a little nutmeg. That's all I'm saying here. I'm so fucking old. No, I take that back. I read, actually. Coming to the stage now, Jay, he's just been a joy to have in class, and you're absolutely going to love him. Please welcome Philippe Tibet, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm an Arab. Sorry guys, it's my second time on stage. I'm a little bit nervous, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys were as well. I'm glad you got that out of the way. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no way that this Luigi-looking motherfucker is an Arab. But my parents are actually from Lebanon. Not sweet home Lebanon, south of Portland. That would not count as being an Arab. They're from the country of Lebanon. We're famous for hummus, hot women, and most recently you might have heard of us because we've been in the news a lot recently. We're actually second on the IDF's list of countries that they want to turn into a holiday resort. I'm not gonna, yeah, it's a little bit of a dark one, but it's okay. We'll not get into that. I'm not trying to get canceled. It's my second show. So. All right, so that was important context. The reason why I tell you I'm an Arab is because there's like pressures that come from that. You know, my parents always wanted me to be better, the best. They wanted me to be successful. You know, that was always very important to me. And when I was a kid, my father said, "You are the family clown." And that is a name that I had to live up to for the rest of my life. And basically, I took that as a license to do and say anything I wanted with zero to no consequences, basically for the rest of my life. And you would think that's not a great strategy, but actually, it's been 25 years, and so far so good, so we're still here. So with that, you know, my father would have guests over, and he would say, "Filu, ta'ala hon, Uncle Farid is here, come make a joke for him." And thank God that he bequeathed me with his phenomenal sense of humor. And I would come up with pearls such as, what is the difference between unlawful and illegal? The answer to that would be that unlawful is against the law. Illegal is a sick bird. I'm glad Calvin likes that one. I think we can all be on the same page that it's not very sophisticated. But it did not matter. It did not matter because I always had a trick up my sleeve. Remember, I need to be successful. I need to be the best by any means necessary. And so what I would do was, I'd run up the stairs. I'd turn around and I'd pull down my pants. Showing everyone my wonderful ass. Now, I was 7 years old at the time, and it worked a treat. And I did this for years, and they loved it. It was like a masterpiece. It was home run every time. Until one day, my dad sat me down, and he said, "Filu, your gimmick getting a little bit old. Maybe you try something new." And that's when I signed up for Carl's class. So let's talk about being great for a second. So, you know, as a kid, I was looked up to athletes, and I was like, man, what makes all of these people so great? And I realized it's one thing, it's their ability to overcome adversity. So I thought, okay, what's the adversity that I've had to overcome in my life? So I'm going to open up to you guys. I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here. Please be respectful. Try to reserve your judgments. I don't really want to hear it. So I started going back in my life. And I thought, COVID was a hard time, right? COVID sucked for a lot of people. The biggest thing for COVID, for me, was that all of the direct flights between Portland and Miami were canceled. So that meant that every time I wanted to go on a luxury holiday, I had to do a stopover in Atlanta or Minneapolis, and that's just not the way you want to start a holiday. That was really fucking hard. That was really fucking hard. Maybe you guys aren't able to relate to that. So I thought, come on, what else have you gone through? I lived in Salt Lake City for 2 years. Some of you might have lived there, you might know. It's a shithole, so that was tough. But I made it out on the other side, didn't get married to a Mormon woman, so that's a win for me. That was good. So I thought, okay, clearly this is not, you guys aren't resonating, that's fine. Let me think a little bit deeper, maybe this will hit. Last year, Delta changed their membership program. And I almost got demoted from a platinum status member to a gold status member like the rest of the peasants, and that rocked my world. Because I don't know if you guys have ever ridden in the back of the plane, but that is not a fun experience. I wrote them a letter. I complained, they changed the rules. I kept my status as a Platinum Medallion member. Thank you very much. That was very good for me. But it was really touch and go for a second there. I was really starting to reconsider things. Okay, so you're like, man, this guy has very little adversity in his life. Let me see if I can pull something else out the hat. When I was 23, I went to the movies, and I fell in love with the lead actress of this movie. I managed to weasel my way into a party that I knew she was going to be at. I dressed up, put my hair up, put some perfume on, and I was like, I'm going to go and make this girl mine. The night was going pretty well. And then I was kind of heartbroken to see her leaving the party with a person on her arm. But not only any person, this was a 5-foot-tall power lesbian. And this is where the real trauma comes in. That power lesbian is my sister. And they're married now. The good news is, though, they let me tell this story at the wedding. It got a ton of laughs, and I didn't have to show my ass, so that was huge for me. I mean, it's tax season, so that's something that's, I guess, topical. Maybe you guys will relate to this. Taxes suck, right? Like, it's a nightmare. No one wants to do taxes. But do you have any idea how hard it is to do taxes when you have 3 passports and several properties around the world? I mean, that's insane, right? The first few years where I did it myself, and when I say did it myself, I went to H&R, were a disaster. Now I have an accountant, it's all good, but fucking hell, that was hard for the first few years. Okay, you guys are like, man, this guy's an asshole up here. Okay. You're not gonna laugh about this one. So in 2021, I was actually diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's disease. My reaction was like, shit, am I gonna turn into a tiny Japanese man? If so, that would be awesome. That wasn't the answer. I actually did some research, and it turns out that it's a potentially fatal disease. And I thought, wow, if this thing doesn't kill me, this could be my ticket to greatness. This could be it. So I went to the doctor and I said, hey doc, how long do I have to live? And she said, thankfully we caught it early. Just take this pill and stay away from gluten and you'll be fine. So not only am I not dying, but now just like every other Portland asshole who doesn't that's it. Alright, so now I'm reflecting. I'm like, man, these are fucking lame. Like, there's not a lot of diversity here. Maybe I should go seek it out. Like, maybe I gotta go find the trauma. Maybe that will get me where I'm trying to go. And so I went on a date with this girl. I was like, semi into her, let's say. She started telling me about her life story, and she started telling me about how, she did this and she did that. And I was like, hey, you kind of missed a block of time there. What happened between the ages of 19 and 22? And she said, well, it's not really first date material, but I used to be a heroin addict. That's when I got really fucking turned on. I thought, maybe through some sort of like reverse osmosis, I could absorb some of the trauma that this person had gone through. I thought, maybe, just maybe, if I slept with this person, I could catch an STT, like sexually transmitted trauma. Maybe that's something that could happen. So I tried to call her up, tried to arrange a second date. She turned me down. She said she wanted someone more down to earth. I thought that was extremely ironic, coming from someone who had been high for 4 years. But that's okay. Okay, so let's go back to being an Arab for 1 second. I feel extremely confident in telling you guys that I am the most punctual Arab person you will ever meet. And the reason why this is important, I don't know if you guys know this, but we actually have a time zone named after us, Arab Standard Time. For those of you who don't know, Arab Standard Time is like 2 hours later than black people time and like 1 hour later than Latino Central time. We're like, we don't even know if you're gonna show up kind of situation. And I dated this girl, this very sweet girl who very much ran on Arab Standard Time. And I thought, this is good, because she's gonna test me day in, day out. She's gonna be late to everything. It's gonna test my character. It's gonna harden me. This is good. Till one day she showed up an hour and a half late to Valentine's Day dinner. And I got upset because I had like done the sous vide and the flowers were out and the potatoes were cold and I was pissed. And she said, Phil, chill out, man, relax. It's not that deep. Why are you so stressed all the time? And I was like, you can't keep doing this to me. It's too difficult. And she said, look, you're really stressed out. I think you need to talk to someone. I think you need to go to therapy. And that's when I knew there was a problem. I was like, this girl doesn't get me. I'm trying to find the trauma, and she's trying to send me to therapy? That's when I knew it wasn't going to work out. So I was like, okay, the world is conspiring against me. They don't want me to be great. Like, I'm not able to find the trauma that I need. So let me take things into my own hands. I started listening to a bunch of David Goggins and Joe Rogan and that kind of stuff. So I was like, man, maybe if I start doing some endurance events, that will like make me into a better person. It didn't. It actually turned me into an asshole because I was pretty good at it, and it just increased my fitness basically. And I became one of those weird people who's like, hey, do you want to hang out? Do you want to go for a run? That's not really like, it's not really an acceptable way to socialize with people if you're being honest. So that didn't work. And then I found the real thing. The real thing was, I'm going to use the sauna and the ice bath to harden myself. And so I said, okay, fine. I'm going to lock myself in the sauna at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. I'm going to cook myself. And if I cook myself, then maybe I can be great. So I'm in the sauna, okay? And I sit down, and I spend, the first 10 minutes are actually quite enjoyable. You sit there. It's pretty cool. Things are going well. And then after about 10 minutes, I look at my arms, and I can start to see the beads of sweat forming there. And I was like, wow, this is pretty dope. With each bead of sweat that forms, I can feel the privilege, like, leaving my body. This is sick. A couple more minutes go by. I'm a little bit uncomfortable at this point. I think, wow, this is what it must feel like to not have AC at home. That's no way to live. A couple more minutes go by, and now I'm really uncomfortable. I run my hand on my back, it's wet, Wolfson. I'm sweating like a Republican in a game bar. It's just not good. I hang in there a little longer. I'm like, come on, Phil, this is where the real games are. If you can make it through this, you can make it through anything. Eventually, I start seeing double, I start seeing triple, and I pass out. No, I don't pass out. I just get out because I can. And I check my phone to see how well I've done, and I said 30 minutes. It was 14 minutes, so that was a little bit disheartening, but it's okay. I gave it the old college try. So after that, I jump into the cold tub. This thing's at 35 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not nice. It's not a nice feeling. And I set the alarm for 6 minutes, so I jump in that thing. First minutes is okay. First minute's all right. Then I start to get a little bit uncomfortable. My feet are cold and stuff, and I'm like, man, this is what it must feel like to not have heated floors at home. I can only imagine. Then I start getting uncomfortable. My breathing starts getting shallow. And I'm like, come on, Phil. You've literally watched hours of TikTok videos. You know how to breathe through this. So I'm doing whatever I can just to calm my mind. And it works. I'm sitting there, I'm chilling, I'm okay. And then I realize, wait, hold on. It's not that I'm okay, it's that I can't feel anything. Everything's numb now. My hands and feet all white. I look down, my dick has disappeared. Entirely disappeared. Now I'm panicking. I'm shaking like an old chihuahua. It's not good. I'm like, no, come on. hang in there, stay in there, you'll be fine. If you can get through this, you can get through anything. This will make you great. Eventually, the timer goes off. I get out and I go and I sit back into the sauna just to thaw out at this point. So I grab my phone, document the whole thing, put it on Instagram, @tag Joe Rogan, @tag David Goggins. Thank you guys for the motivation. Hashtag stay hard. Hashtag. Hashtag. Hashtag stay hard. Hashtag uncommon amongst uncommon men. So on and so forth. Now you would say, why are you putting it on Instagram? It's a great question. There's two reasons why I would put this on Instagram. The first one is I want to show people that I can do hard things. Like that's important to me. I'm resilient. I can do hard things. The second reason is I want to show people that I have a dope backyard. Super important. All right, I gotta go pee. Thank you guys for
The best, ladies and gentlemen. I was a little concerned when his registration fee came in for the Cayman Islands. We would take a break during class and he would show us his falcon. It was so much fun. One more time for Philippe. Another hand before we bring up Stacia, and for everybody on this show. Come on. I want to tell you how great these students are. 8 weeks ago, not a one of them spoke English. It's unbelievable. All right, you Stacia fans out there, where are you? She needs no introduction except she's a force of nature. Please welcome Stacia Nielsen.
The last time I was up here, which was 6 months ago, I talked about all kinds of shit. But mostly I talked about dicks. Being surrounded by them in my piss-sprayed penis palace of a home, raising offspring and pets, also all with dicks, and the unfortunate decline of my beloved vagina, which one could sensibly argue is also attributed to the existence of dicks. And at the time, I was actually cutting the number of dicks in my house by one. I got rid of the biggest one in the bunch. The very next morning after my show, I fell so ill that I was actually in the hospital for 9 days. 9 days. And I almost died there. Twice. So it was suggested to me that maybe all that dick talk might have pissed somebody off. Maybe God. I guess there are also these three guys, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Sounds like a bunch of dudes with dicks to me. I suppose it's possible that one of them actually took his hand off his dick, or more likely off one of the other guy's dicks, just for a moment, and was actually paying attention to my comedy set. And he told the others, because they all weren't hands-free paying attention at the same time. Guys, hold on, wait. Holy Ghost, hand off your dick for a second. Pause. Do you hear this bitch? Let's smite her. I think it's just as plausible that there's a dick karma king named Steve sitting on his duck butter covered couch in his dark dick decorated den somewhere in Iowa, and he's holding a voodoo doll with stringy blonde hair and these great tits, and he's rubbing it on his wiener. So exactly 1 week before I went on stage, I actually went on the annual trip I had with my best friends. And there's 7 of us. And we've known each other for 30 plus years. These are bury the body friends. idiots, right? The ones you've seen and who've seen you do some real stupid shit. But you stand by them, no matter what, right? I witnessed a few go through their vegan phase, where they didn't wear deodorant, or trim their bushes. Smelled like a teenage nutsack doused in patchouli. But come spring break, I'm still drunk on a beach somewhere with them. Poofs in their bathing suit bottoms. Looks like little spiders crawling out the side. Inviting stares and giggles from passersby. But I stand up, I said, hey, don't laugh at my friend. She's got a condition. It's called arachnopusia. These are the friends that knew you were fucking that really hot guitar player. Yeah, over Easter weekend in college, when you had that raging yeast infection that became famously referred to as Yeaster weekend. These are the friends that take those old jokes in stride, like our 4'11" friend, who we still try to sit in a booster seat every time we get in a vehicle. Climb in there, girl. We're in deep shit if we get pulled over. Did you see that PSA I sent you? You're lucky you're facing forward. These are the friends that you run really important plans by before acting on them. So guys, I was thinking about selling my kids on the black market because it's our blood. I mean, they're like Caucasian, they're blonde, blue-eyed, prepubescent boys. Not that bright. What do you think? Yeah. So our annual trip was to Cabo. So I'd like to think of my friends and I as educated, relatively well-traveled, informed humans, but it's quite clear that only a gaggle of dipshits would book a trip to Mexico in late August. Why? Why? It's humid as fuck. Instant swass, swussy, swoopies. So my friends and I have this saying that only attention-craving whores get diseases. I can't remember where this comes from. It's been a long time, right? It's just common sense that becomes a truth you adopt. Like, don't stick anything up your ass unless it has a flange. It's like a precautionary tale, you know? But to be fair, I've been a whore for a long time. Since I was 18. And I have never caught any communicable disease via crotch or otherwise. The disease I caught was Legionnaire's pneumonia. Have you guys heard of it? It is fucking crazy. It enters your lungs through vapor. And our bodies, for the most part, kill it off. Not mine. Nope. This whore system was like, hey, which way you want to come in? Stay a while. None of my friends got it, and it turns out I contracted this fucker on a boat we chartered for an afternoon. We had a captain and a skipper, Jose and Cesar. They made us tart margaritas, that is delicious sandwiches, served us guacamole from heaven. And they offered to hose us down from a fresh water source in the boat whenever we wanted. So this is the only difference in what my friends and I did on this trip. The only difference. They wisely declined the hose downs. They thought Jose was a pervert. Sure, he had an intense stare and a huge boner tent in his pants for the moment we walked on the boat. But I didn't care. I was thankful for the margaritas, and if you probably haven't guessed, like I'm not a fan of swass or swussy. You add seawater and seaweed to that mix, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap. So I was like, oh Dios mío, uto aquí, capitán. Ooh, get my back, get my hair. Don't forget my face. Ah! Boom! Back in Portland, and within days of my show, I was in the hospital, oxygen tubes in my nose, and drugs. And things were not actually looking too well. Until, that is, my pulmonologist entered the scene. Dr. Bozak. That's right, Dr. Bozak. He's French, and he is a sizzler. He's a fox. One of my best friends was sitting next to me in the room, and when he entered, the sexual tension was palpable. I don't quite remember what he said, but I do remember both of us nodding and saying things like, "Oh yeah, that is so interesting. Ooh, that sounds serious, doctor." And then he said something like, "We do not know why you are still alive, but we are going to keep you alive until we do." I'm fucked up. So I'm like, "Okay, doctor. My girlfriend is looking a little more somber at this point. And the doctor continues and says, "So we need to do this procedure, but we cannot put you under because you will die. So we are going to give you a combination of Versed, fentanyl, and ketamine. And then we are going to stick cables down your throat to the bottom of your lungs, and then you will probably be on a ventilator after." Ooh. Did he say down my throat? My girlfriend is looking a little more serious at this point, right? And she's slowly shaking her head and saying, whispering, actually, "Not appropriate." So, next thing I know, I'm in the ICU, and Dr. Balzac is explaining, "Before we give you the drugs, we must numb your throat. This throat numbing piece is integral to the success of this procedure. We are going to give you an instrument covered in liticus viscus, and you are going to put it in your mouth to the back of your throat and slowly move it around." Okay, wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. So you want me to take that thing that looks like an oversized popsicle stick. It's about 8 inches long and 1.5 inches wide. I'm familiar. And you want me to shove it to the back of my throat and jiggle it around. Is that right? Oui, oui. Yes. I know this sounds very hard, but I know you can do it. I believe in you. Do you believe in you? You believe you can do it? This motherfucker clearly has zero idea of my horse skills. I hope so, but only if you help me. So, needless to say, the procedure was a success. Yay! So, interestingly enough, the horse skills that got me into this predicament also got me out. That's a thinker. So, a few days later, I was home, and I was carrying 25 pounds of water weight. And all I wanted to do was shower and shave something. And I was feeling a little itchy, scratchy in the undercarriage area. And I thought that I either needed a good shearing or that maybe 9 days of heavy antibiotics were inviting Easter weekend to return. So I get in the shower. Oh my God, it feels so good. And I lift up my leg, right? And I've got shaving gel in one hand and a razor in the other. And I lower my head. And what I see hanging there is what appears to be an adult male's hairy nutsack. I screamed and ran out of the shower with my sneaky ballsack in tow. And I demanded that somebody tell me what the fuck was going on. Turns out, edema and steroids swell the labial wall. For 3 days, I walked around with a hairy nutsack that couldn't be contained, always rubbing against my inner thighs. Oh, my God. I gotta tell you, I was as horny as all the devil laid out. For days, several times a day, to relieve the urge and swell, I had to furiously and feverishly tug and paddle that pink canoe. I couldn't take my hands off it. I was so busy. Oh. So busy that even my sister-in-law, who was in town taking care of me from Texas, I actually heard her say to others, well, she's a little busy right now. She's jerking off. So, eventually, the swelling went down. Don't you worry, potential suitor. All good now. But I think I know why dudes are horny all the time. Yeah, it's because their balls are hanging and rubbing on their inner thighs, constantly reminding them of sex. What a fucking nightmare! But now I have a little more compassion for dudes and their plate. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is what Steve and those other 3 dudes with dicks, those sneaky motherfuckers, that's what they were aiming for. Well played, motherfuckers. Well played.
I would pay so much money to see her on the Canby City Council. Keep it going for Stacia. It's just. Even I'm horny. You guys have been a terrific crowd, and before you go, PortlandComedy.com is the place you can learn about all the shows that are here, all the classes, the improv classes. There are a lot of shows. We have 3 stand-up classes starting on April 15th. If you would like to sign up, I think there's some slots left. Also, on a week from tonight is another showcase with my students. It's another terrific show, so if you're not doing anything, right here is the place, 7:30, 1 week from today. I want to bring all of our performers on stage tonight. Keep it going for Jeff O'Malley, Zach Victor, Dylan Hines, Idris Wahhead, Sarah Still, that's our show. Thank you for coming and supporting your friends.
Thank you guys for
PortlandComedy.com.
coming.